Alright, so today, me and Chris, we're checking out an area that seems to be a thoroughfare for reports. There's reports up on the side of a mountainside, way down the valley here, from back in the day, and then there's some more recent reports behind us toward the bottom of this drainage. So we're really hoping today we can get out here and explore, and hopefully we find some tracks. So that's the goal. As you can see, this area is just completely alder choked, kind of wet floor, lots of moss. So we're just doing our share of exploring today. See what we can see. Maybe we'll get lucky and find some shed antlers or something. It's that time of year that they would be on the ground showing up. And then if we're really lucky, we might find an area where there might be some prints if they're moving through the area. But we're going to be scanning the road shoulders and picking select spots to break off the road at areas that look like good choke points and try to see if we find tracks coming down and through some areas. So we didn't even make it past 10 feet from where I last filmed our video. We're only a little ways in, and Chris heard two out of place loud snaps coming from basically back right in there on the other side of this hill. So we're gonna keep our ears out and try to sneak around this and use the handheld thermal here and see if we see anything clipping around the backside here. Alright, so we've moved a couple hundred yards up the road and we heard another one. I didn't hear it. I was moving on wet leaves and I hit gravel. But Chris kind of heard a semi-distant wood on wood punky knock type sound coming from way back in there, potentially across the river, you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's straight. Don't.
We're running our audio.
Like a hollow, deep. It's a piece of wood. It was wood on wood for sure. It could have been antler hitting wood, but like.
What antlers?
Yeah.
Everything should be about off.
The elk still have their antlers.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The elk. Some of the bulls are still. The bigger bulls are still holding their antlers.
I bet you there's a game trail over here. Let's walk out that way.
Yeah, there's a good connection right there. We can cut in back through that direction. Perfect. All right, let's check it out. Still therming. All right, so I'm just walking. I got these muddy, fluted channels here, and I'm just checking this mud for prints. This is a good area where something crossed, like right here. Got like where an elk walked through or something, plowed up the ground. And then again, right there. I'm just looking for any sign of large impression where something would be cruising around. See, like right here, another one. So I'm just keeping my eyes peeled for these impressions and movement. Chris is on the other side, right in there. And we're just keeping our eyes peeled as we go. Listening, looking.
Right about in this area is where I heard the two snaps, like tap percussives. And then when we get parallel with it, straight up, it came from on the other side of the creek. I heard the solid, deeper wood knock. I'm not saying it's Bigfoot. I'm just saying it's super suspicious.
It is, because it seemed like it got away from us, and then it was alerting the group or something. Like that potentially could be what was happening. Super cool. This ground is perfect for tracks. Just kind of scanning as we go here. Like this is all Chris walking here, you can see that. I'm gonna go to his right while he's going to the left here. Alright, so our little drainage flows out right to here to a little fork in the creek. And that's the primary connection right there. What we heard, definitely that last one had to have been coming from up that hill on the other side.
He's up higher. He's up on that hill.
So, definitely interesting. Hoping to get over here and maybe catch some odor of something coming down along the creek, but not anything yet. Just a lot of elk sign. A lot of food in this area though. Just found a nice elk trail here. Deer trail combo. And I'm just following it along, hopefully finding where they cut back out along the road. See if we can see anything of interest. So far just a lot of elk and deer, but you never know. If you look at just how moss covered this stuff is, it's just saturated with the moss and all the moisture that gets caught up in it. Just thick. It's really cool when you see these trees all decorated like this. Super cool. It's actually really elegant and beautiful, in my opinion. It's one of the things I love about the Northwest. Well, I'm gonna try to get back out to the road here. We'll keep on going. Didn't find anything in this section. Maybe the next one. Alright, so something cool about a valley like this being a pinch point, as you can see, we've got rocky bluffs coming up on this side of the road, and hillside here kind of going up, valley channeling down on that side, road cutting through the bottom. The other side, again, goes kind of straight up a hill here. So this is the kind of place that elk are going to be forced through. It's like a choke point. Might see some good trails soon. But what's really cool is spots like this, animals don't typically want to bed in the bottom where the river sound is overriding their senses. So it tells me a lot of the critters are going to be bedding up high on benches and knobs above these little rocky bluffs and stuff. So we're just looking for how many trails and connection points we can see, and maybe just scope out the hillside with the thermal as we go. That's kind of been our goal here. And maybe find where things like change side. Might get lucky and find a trackway crossing this road thoroughfare along an easy transition to follow some of this up to the other sidewall. So that's what we're really looking for. Convergence points and choke points, and areas that something might want to spend a lot of time and then eventually cross to the other side. Chris here just found this little newt buddy coming up out of the woods, and he's heading back toward the river, it looks like. Oh, he's cute. Look at that guy. And he's just chilling. Well, I'm going to let him get back to his little journey, and we're going to continue ours. Got his magical wizard staff.
You shall not pass.
Oh. Start calling Chris Gandalf. He's getting that beard going. Just get him a gray cloak. Though I do figure if you were to be a movie character, you'd want to be like a Star Wars Jedi type of thing.
I don't know. I don't think so. Mountain Man.
Mountain Man. And up we go. We're getting into some thicker stuff. capping out on top of this little bench on the top here. We're wrapping around into the area where we heard the percussives earlier, so here's to hopefully running into something that might be camped out up here. But it's some beautiful timber up in there. Really good territory. Alright, so we're kind of on a slightly overgrown skid road next to a giant marsh. So we're going to start really hawking the ground for prints here. This is like where a Sasquatch may come out and follow something like an old skid. But look, here's this marsh. It's beautiful. Oh yeah, this is gorgeous.
Froggy?
Yeah, froggies. This is a protein buffet right here. You can hear them going already. Oh yeah. So we're gonna be watching for prints in here like crazy. Gonna also keep therming up into the timber. Keep our eyes peeled. Beautiful area. Might need to take a picture here. It's awesome. Blackberry. There is a load of cattails, as you can see, right down in there. Salmonberry. There's elderberry, and there's obviously the frogs, all the fungi, and a whole bunch of other resources in here. This is a great area for food. This is at the very least a bear hangout, if nothing else, and it's kind of untouched. Nothing's back here. Doesn't get regular traffic. The roads are all grassed out. So just oodles of food. Very promising. So we're gonna keep our eyes peeled. So we're still cruising in here. Lots and lots of animal sign. Like, look at all this plowed up ground right in here.
Elk sign right now.
Yeah, tons of elk. Did see some deer earlier. Stuff's all shredded up. Look at these old prints all over the place. Saw one, what looked like a young cruising bull, probably spiker, going up the road. And then we did see a rub from what looked like a more mature bull. There's a good trail right there. Look at that. That goes along an old skid. So we're just therming this timber. And what I'm loving about this is you can see it's just a salmonberry carpet in the bottom in here. And that's on the hillside. And all of it flows down to this marsh down here. You can see there's a marsh down in there. And it's just, there's ponds and all kinds of stuff. So it's got a lot of solitude going on back in here. So we're just gonna cruise in. We're gonna find a spot back in here somewhere to sit down and let things settle, and maybe try to get something worked up. Who knows? We'll see. You can see here, got some old elk scat. Got this nice grassy section here. On warm days, elk will bed on this kind of stuff, on these old choke points where they can kind of hear and they can afford to be on the edge. So it's pretty cool getting to come back in here. Frogs are going nuts. And this hill caps up on a bench. As you can see, it's a little misty, 30-year-old timber. So I'm just going to keep scanning in here with the thermal and hopefully see some stuff going on. Come on. All right, so there's a game trail going up through here. Going up along, this is an edge. This is what people talk about when they're deer hunting or elk hunting, and what an edge looks like. This is a stand of young jack fir on the left. This is like a bedding area, and this is a transfer in which animals come down. And one of the ways that I was able to identify that is the two game trails merging here, and there's a cross game trail up there too. But if you look, right here. There's a tree right here. This young tree has a rub on it right there at the bottom. And then same with that little tree right here. And then you have Chris Spencer here.
There's elk poop in the road.
And there's elk poop in the road. And another awesome little thing is this game trail. You can see it cuts right through. But if you look, what tells me this is a bedding area is there's no rub on this side of the tree. But if you look at it from this side, this tree has a rub on it. On this side. So that's an indicator of where something's come from a bedding area like this up here and come down and rub aggressively at other bucks, strip this up real bad. So what I've done is I have a game camera up there. See if I can find it again. I've lost it in my view. See if I can put you guys on it. But this game camera is just going to monitor anything going in and out. There, you can kind of see it. It's right there up on that tree. Right? That tree right there. So we're going to leave that and let it run. And hopefully we get some good deer activity coming through here. Maybe some elk. And with that, me and Chris are going to go hit another spot we just eyeballed on the map. It's got some marshes. So we're going to take advantage of the weather and get over that direction. All right, so we've elected to go ahead and head back down. That was a Chris knock. Chris Squatch. And now we're going to just listen, I guess. Something might respond. That was called the Chris Spencer technique.
That's a similar sound to the knock I heard across the river, or across this creek earlier. That hollow, dead branch.
It's getting kind of creepy out with all the mist. Just came out of nowhere. I love it. All right, so we went up there, explored quite a ways. So now we've kind of elected to kind of go back down. We're going to go hit the truck and try to drive out to another edge of the location to the other side of the edge of this, that runs to the east. And we're going to try to access there to get closer to the marsh on that side. Hopefully it gives us shortens our time to get there, because it's a little bit of a ways to go back down and around. So that's the plan.
Because you screwed up.
Yeah, I goofed up on the map. We turned off on one fork too early. We were supposed to hit a different fork.
Well, hello, Mr. Bardow.
We got company. He's up in there.
That's a different one.
Oh,
There's two.
yeah, he's right up there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's breeding season, by the way. March is generally when barred owls start getting really territorial, and you will hear them during the day, like right now. And they...
Yeah, he's up in that tree right there at the peak. And that other one. Oh, that's cool.
They're super territorial right now.
But
So
did they...
March is the time, and we're here at the beginning of March, is the time when they get really territorial and they start vocalizing all hours, not just at night.
But was that in response maybe to you whacking that tree?
I don't know.
Because it was, we just did
Very
that.
interesting. I don't know.
Because I've had that before, where I'll whack something and then the owls light up. And I've also had knocks and then the owls go off, which is interesting. We don't know that necessarily there's a connection.
I don't know. I don't think there's a connection. I think it's just the time of year.
Or maybe they could mistake that for another owl landing on a branch and busting it off, and they're thinking they're being territorial. at this time. That's a possibility.
You know, this time of year too, they like to come. They'll come into your camp.
Yep.
I mean, me and you have camped out in March, and we've had like 4 different owls around our camp, vocalizing back and forth to each other,
Approaching us too,
Yeah.
like coming into our camp from far away. So,
Yeah, and it was owls. It wasn't Bigfoot. It was barred owls.
but people make mistakes too. All right, me and Chris are on our way to the other access point. So we're gonna try to get back in off of another road now, and we're gonna work our way back into the valley from the other side. So, all right, so me and Chris have arrived at the second location. We fueled up on food and got hydrated, and now we are heading into the thick stuff. So this is the old skid on the way in, and we're really going to be watching for prints and trying to find a place to deploy his long-term audio. So waiting blackberries looks like to be the chore of the day. All right, so we're going around all these blackberries, and we're following some deer trails to try to get around all this stuff. Salmonberry, blackberry. Trying not to get hung up on everything, but easier said than done. There we go. Wide open. Like, the deer trails in here are just insane. Like, this is a game superhighway. Oh yeah, look at this tree. This is all rubbed up. Holy cow. Alright, back to the skid. We've kind of circumvented all that crap. Okay, so me and Chris were walking, and we noticed these huge flattened spots and divots in the ground, and they were just totally rutted in some spots. We've seen about 20 of them now coming up this skid, and there's a big flat spot right here, and then there was another one somewhere in here. Oh yeah, right here. You can't see them. They're just a little dish in the ground. But then I came right up here and I found this thing, and it looks like it has toes on it. You can see the toes are on the right hand side of the screen, and the heel, and there's the toes. Yeah, so we're photographing it. It's got that look. It's got toes. I'll film it from the back in a little bit here, but for now we're going to try to get a good step length to the next divot from what we think is a divot from the track. It's just crowded down the ground. You can kind of see it right here. There's a divot there, just a long, oblong, goofy divot in the ground. So, and then there's like, we've seen a series of them going up this skid. We're out here just checking it out, exploring. And it's creepy timber.
These are splayed toes right here.
Yeah, we haven't even gone anywhere yet. Past it. So
Okay.
let me get one more shot of that, just to make sure I'm getting a good 3D perspective. And you can see it's just, and this is the toe region. You can see individual toes in it, and it's very long. It goes all the way there. It's way too big to be a bear, as you can see based on the scale. That's a 6-inch scale. This print at minimum is 15 inches. It's huge. At most 17.
No, it's 18, but it's 18, but it's sliding. So I'm gonna guess it's between 16 and 17-inch foot.
Yeah, I'm trying to get perfectly square. And what's your width on that guy?
Scale. I have the scale where I think the end of the heel is.
it
That's
crushed
6
all
inches.
that fern.
But width-wise, up at the top is like 8 inches for splayed foot. I'm guessing. Yeah, the damage to the ground's bigger than the actual foot. It's probably a 16 to 17-inch track, which is definitely male and mature.
Yeah, what we typically know to be adult males.
So,
You can really see those toes. Holy cow.
Hold me on the heel of the
Yeah.
next impression.
I'm going to set my thermal down here. The next impression from what we can gauge is right
And that's right where we'd expect
there.
heel to heel, 58-inch step. That's what I'd expect to attract that size.
And here, I'll just outline it because this one's difficult to see. The heel cup is like here, and the toe row would be here. Can you measure this one for me? It's like, this is kind of the toe region.
Yeah, it is. We're sitting right about 16 inches. What I expect, that track down there's a slide.
Yeah, so
it's like a 16 to 17-inch track.
Yeah.
But
Wow. It's just a huge divot. And again, they have such malleable feet. Like it's not surprising it doesn't have a whole lot of shape. But this one, I'm going to get this back into this. So you can see this fern just got completely wrecked because the heel region's right there. Right there. And you can see get in there and get the toes. There you go. Yeah, you can really see the toes now. And it hit that ground. It just completely pushed everything up, and the toes have little curves on them. It's just that we've had a little rain, so it's kind of washed into the print and filled it in. So now we need to take the tape measure in the opposing direction and see if we can beat on line to the next print. So we're going to focus on that. I'll let you know. We'll check back in when we have that lined out if we can find it. All right. So here's that track again for those looking. We're having trouble locating it in here. We did a stride or step measurement to try to trace back based on the total distance. We couldn't find it. It could be that right there. Could be. Right there. But then just down here.
This is a definite heel slide right here.
Yeah, we found another place where the heel looks like it's hit the ground.
And it's running the same dimensions. Toes are up here somewhere.
Yeah, and it looks like it's leaning on its heel because it's going uphill.
16 to 17.
Yeah, we're on a hill, so it's slowly going up. So it would be leaning back on its heel. So yeah, look at that. Wow. Okay, so I can't think of what else is leaving prints like that. It's not a black bear. It would be... What is going on, man? Everything is cruising through here.
Okay, I want to get around the corner.
I'm going to grab my thermal, and we're going to keep our eyes out as we go down here and try to... And it doesn't have to stay glued to this side of the road. Here, I'll get another view of this with my foot next to it, for example. Yeah, right there. I'll back it up a little bit. There you go. The heel is right here, very bucketed in. And here's a 3D perspective. And the toes didn't really register because it's laying its weight down across the entirety of its foot. Its ball is like right here. Toes are kind of diffused, but wow. Crazy. So
Came off from over there. Look how torn up this is from the elk. Look at right through here.
yeah, the elk are definitely shredding it up in here too.
Crap. There is a ton of animal movement through here.
Yeah, and none of here's a bull actually going right downhill right here. So there's elk and bull, elk and deer all over this. But what's really interesting is that print series is not elk. It's not. It doesn't look anything like these.
Not bear either.
Yeah, it's not bear.
We found a double step bear up above,
Yeah.
but that was older.
Okay, so me and Chris, we passed the tracks now. We kept our eyes out the whole time. Didn't see anything extra. But the ground was just mauled after by all kinds of wildlife and stuff. And so we're heading up to the top of the ridge now, and we're going to place an LTR to monitor this area, specifically because of those tracks. But we had our eyes on this spot earlier because of how hard to access it is. So it's kind of exciting to find a set of prints that look very promising like that. So we're going to get up there and place a recorder and then get out of here. All right, so we've made it to the top. We've selected a stump for Chris's long-term recorder. It's starting to get darker now. It's starting to lose light, but we're in a good spot. So we're going to put the recorder in here and let her do her thing over the next 30 days, and hopefully we capture some audio of stuff happening. We're over the cusp of the hill here in this monoculture, hoping that we can escape most of the traffic noise and catch anything that might be using this whole valley as like a pathway. All right, pin marking the location. Got a microphone sticking out there and one sticking out there, and the recorder is down in a hollow on the other side, disguised in that stump. So we're completely set up as soon as we get this marked, and then we'll head back over the ridge and head back to our vehicle and call it a day.
This is area B. B for Bigfoot. Actually, it's B for bones, because we found a lot of deer bones. But we think there's Bigfoot here. And I'm just looking at the map. This is a spot that I've looked at in years past, that Nathaniel's looked at in years past. And
always wanted to come here.
Always thought, that's a good spot. I don't think a lot of humans are coming in here. It's one of those gems that I'm not going to talk a lot about because if there's a Bigfoot around, this would be a good spot to be a Bigfoot.
And get some privacy.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, that it is so hard to get to, but sometimes that's what makes these spots great. So we're going to let this thing run and do its job, and hopefully we get something to show for it.
And I'm pretty sure what we found are tracks.
Yeah, they have the hallmark. They have the look, they have the compression, the damage, the way the foot interact with the substrate. It's just...
And here's the thing, like I said, based on Nathaniel's homework on reports over the years, and us both looking at Onyx on the map, we're on state land, but we're surrounded by private property. It's a hard to get to spot, and it's like we've always said, there's probably Bigfoot in there. And what happens the first time we come in? We find possible tracks. And they're the kind of tracks that I like. So it's like, that's just whether we found the tracks or not, I was still going to leave this LTR, but now I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. We're almost right where the track was.
Well, I consider that a success. We came out and it looks like we found some prints. I mean, we go out and film this video 100 times, where we go out looking for prints, and we hardly, you know how it is, Chris, we hardly ever find what we're looking for.
Well,
but today it looks like it came together, and we found a string of 5 or 6 total impressions?
Four total, one maybe.
Yeah.
So 5 impressions, all between 16 and 17 inches. Slide impressions going up the hill. One's clearly got 5 toes in it. I scanned it. The scan's good. There's no way I could have casted it. I could have tried
it wouldn't have.
I would have been wasting my casting material.
And you'll see the scan of what it looks like in the video.
But what is cool, we've been talking about this spot for 2 years.
2 years.
Nathaniel, between his sighting research and then just looking at maps, we have hypothesized for years now that this would be a great place to go investigate. And it's not easy to get into.
No.
It's state land, but it's completely surrounded by private property.
And boxed in further.
And boxed in. Upon coming in here, all the sign, no human, just tons. I mean, more deer sign than I've seen in a long time. More, not necessarily more elk sign, but definitely elk sign. But the amount of deer sign is just incredible. And we're close enough to human habitation that during the wintertime, which I absolutely believe our target subjects are gravitating towards human habitation in the wintertime.
Lower elevation.
It's lower elevation and more food source opportunities. Where this is perfect for that. And to get in here and find these impressions, it's just like, and the thing is, we found multiple impressions on the skidder road going in that we were hemming and hawing about, but then when we found the one, it was like, oh yeah, this is one of our guys. So I'm super excited to get the LTR out here. I consider this a total win. This is like a little gem that we've been sitting on for years, and we finally pulled the trigger today and got in here.
It was worth it.
And yeah, I have high hopes, and maybe we'll be totally wrong and I'll get absolutely nothing on the audio, but I'd be shocked if we don't get something.
Yeah, this area is just what like he was saying, it's so boxed in, it's so difficult to use and navigate. And then also what we came out here today based on was a string of reports that I had been taking over the years, and I noticed they were hugging this confluence. They're coming down along this stream and marsh pathway that flows out of a mountain range just to the east of us. And I was like, man, if I were Sasquatch, there's no way I'm hanging out at 3,000, 3,500 feet or wherever it goes up to from there in the winter. And you can't even get any sun exposure because of the south side of the mountain is higher than the other side. So what's crazy is that indicates that they would have to come down. And I was like, if I were coming down, I'd have to come down this direction. So that's what led us along this confluence, and the report strings kind of indicated that would be the case. So
also, what have I been talking about? You know, Cliff talks about it all the time. He's finding his tracks on old skidder roads that are probably 100+ years old that no one's walking on, because we can see, we found a double step bear track up here. We found plenty of deer, elk tracks. The other animals are using this old road, and what do you know? We find possible Sasquatch prints on this old skidder road. Just like Cliff is doing. It's something to look for, something to be checking out. Not roads that get a lot of public use, but looking
protected areas.
Look for these areas where the road is so run down. Like, you wouldn't even know this skidder road was here because there's like 100 yards of blackberries you got to go around to get onto this road.
Yeah.
So those are the areas to be looking for.
All right, so with that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. We gotta walk back to the car. We were about a mile back in, and we're gonna wrap this video up. Thanks for joining us here at Study Sasquatch. We'll see you on the next one.